Preservation of the crime scene is of utmost importance for scene-of-crime officers to ensure the chain of continuity is unbroken, and forensic analysis is accurate and accepted in court. Firstly, it must be established that SOCOs are required to tend to people in aid to preserve life. This rule overrides scene preservation. The officer should administer first aid, and assistance may be called if needed. This would, however, still be recorded in the visitor's log for the scene. The scene must be sealed off to the public with warning tape, and any personnel to enter the scene must sign themselves in, along with the time date of entry and the time date when they depart the scene. The size of the scene should take into consideration the likelihood of scattered evidence and the need to preserve all trace evidence, as well as accommodate police tents in the case of poor weather. Therefore, the scene size should be larger, which can always be sized down while searching for and recovering evidence. The seizure of reliable evidence is time-based, and it is vital to locate and properly seize evidence as soon as possible, especially in worsened forecasts. Single walkway systems are established in the crime scene cordon. In the case of deceased presence, it is advisable to leave the body untouched until a forensic pathologist or forensics expert has checked the corpse, as the positioning angle of bullet travel and blood spatter projections play a vital role in forensic crime reconstruction. Moreover, there should be heightened efforts to reduce the chances of cross-contamination of trace evidence, such as wearing appropriate PPE and suits before entering the scene and withholding from pastimes such as smoking, drinking, or eating in the vicinity. Digital evidence can also be collected from potential witnesses, given they have saved the recordings properly. It is advisable for citizens who do capture cyber forensics evidence to download CCTV clips 5 minutes before the crime if possible, as this allows the police to monitor the perpetrator's behavior and the victim's actions. On discovery of an active firearm at the crime scene, a forensic expert, or someone with adequate firearms handling training should be notified immediately to prevent the likelihood of injury to all personnel in situ. It's important that the forensic expert acts accordingly to discover evidence. There is a higher risk of injuring oneself and others depending on the circumstances, and therefore it is within the forensic ballistics' interest to damage or even destroy forensic evidence to preserve the well-being of all police personnel. Another instance may be when forensic experts are required to collect expelled ammunition, which has been caught by materials. It is best to cut out a section of the material to preserve the round in its original position upon location. In the event that the gun is able to be collected and packaged accordingly for later forensic examination, the forensic expert must first ensure they are appropriately protected by the means of protective gear such as eyewear, suited and typically wearing gloves with a strong grip over the firearm, although in some circumstances forensic experts may be permitted to collect the evidence without the need for gloves, which will be subsequently recorded. Generally, the safest procedure is to ensure the gun looks of high quality to ensure there is no damage that could potentially result in an accidental discharge of the firearm. When a forensic expert is handling the firearm, at no point should the barrel face another personnel, and should preferably be pointed towards the ground. The ammunition should be removed from the firearm urgently, whether this be a magazine, revolver rounds, or clips, ensuring caution while handling the gun and at no point touching the gun's trigger. Even with firearms located on the scene with safeties turned on, the risk of the gun's safety being faulty is far too high to risk poor trigger control. Moreover, ensuring the barrel of the weapon has been cleared by removing any potential active rounds and performing visual and tactile inspections to ensure the gun is safe for transportation. The forensic process of analyzing firearms, ensuring they're rendered safe for transportation, and packaging the firearms and firearm paraphernalia is vital to ensure the safety of all police and laboratory personnel, and prevent the destruction of any forensic evidence before the examination. If possible, samples such as DNA and fingerprints will be taken upon discovery and then sent with the firearms to be properly analyzed. It is vital that all ammunition is removed from the firearm and packaged separately using latex nitrile gloves. If live rounds are contained within a clip or magazine, the bullets shouldn't be tampered with and packaged as found in situ. Depending on the nature of firearm recovery, there are numerous ways in which the firearms and respective ammunition must be packaged. Firearms found in dry weather conditions will be packaged in boxes with clear fronts and must clearly show the chamber of the gun is cleared. In some agencies, ballistics officers will use a zip tie running into the barrel and out of the chamber, which also prevents the gun from cocking itself during transportation. When a firearm is rendered safe like this, officers will also package a firearms label confirming the weapon is unleaded, which is luminous green-colored. In the instance of firearms being discovered in unfavorable weather conditions, the gun is packaged into an evidence box wet. In cases like this, transportation is an urgent matter as the formation of rust could destroy plentiful amounts of forensic trace evidence. In some circumstances in which a firearm may be found underwater, the ballistics officer will package the firearm into a watertight container, along with a sample size of the water body from which it was recovered. The reason for doing this is to ensure the metals are stabilized with potential erosive chemicals in the water, which delays the rate of oxidization and preserves any evidence. This method is also commonly used in instances of firearms located in damp substances such as mud, sand, and soil. The magazines or clips of guns are packaged separately and secured with zip ties within a windowed box which prevents live rounds from moving freely. Polythene exhibit bags may be used for free rounds, although they aren't advisable to use when preserving trace evidence such as fingerprints is a priority as these can be damaged during transportation. Officers may prefer to use plastic containers or clear view boxes instead. Fired rounds can be collected effectively and packaged within plastic containers and covered with polythene bags. While the chances of evidence being damaged are higher, safety must be ensured, and packaging live ammunition in this manner helps to guarantee staff longevity. Expelled ammunition is wrapped in tissue and placed into a plastic container within a polythene bag, bearing in mind the risk of injury to the forensic ballistics officer as fired cartridges may be sharp.